In case you're just joining us, the San Antonio Spurs have won Game 7 over the Detroit Pistons and are the NBA's champion for the third time in 7 years. Tim Duncan is the MVP. Tony Parker, numbers didn't show up really well in the stat sheet. 8 points, 3 assists in the game, but of course he made himself useful. A real team effort. And after the game, Michelle Tafoya caught up with Tony.
It was holding the trophy. How did you get a hold of this?
Man, I always like the trophy. I want to kiss it. I'm happy it's back in San Antonio.
How do you say NBA champions in French?
Champion NBA.
What's going through your mind, Tony? Third quarter, you guys really start to turn it around defensively and with the rebounding. Pop sort of said, if you guys defend and get the glass, you can run the offense on your own.
Exactly. That's why we try to focus all night, try to play defense and stick with it. That's how we at our best. You know, we make stops and then we can get some easy points in transition. And even when they got that lead in the third quarter, we keep playing defense and it helped us great tonight.
You know, Tim Duncan said a lot of MVPs on this team. He named about 4 of you. But what about Tim Duncan's play tonight? How changed was he?
Tim came out huge today. He was very focused this morning, and he came out and he played like an MVP. He carried us in the third quarter when we were struggling, and he made his free throws tonight. That was huge.
When you compare this to the last championship you guys won, how does it compare? Is it fair to compare them?
It's hard to compare because it is so different. You know, the first time it's all new for us. You know, I was coming from France, Manu from Argentina, and we win. And now we knew all the pressure we had, and to do it again is just unbelievable. It's like the confirmation. It's great.
Confirmation, you rose to the pressure. Congratulations.
Bonjour à toute la France, les gars.
Okay.
Sacre bleu. Duncan steps up in the second half, awarded with his third Finals MVP as he joins the list. This list, 3+ NBA MVP awards with Shaq, MJ, and Magic. Right now, let's take you out live to San Antonio and Larry Brown.
Bad turnover, they score a 3, then we take a bad shot and they come back, and all of a sudden 9-point lead is that, you know, over, got the crowd in it. But we had our chances. You gotta, you know, I thought Pop did a great job of getting us out of stuff with their defensive effort.
Like the Booth newspapers. Coach, could you elaborate a little bit more on what Tony Parker was able to do to Rip defensively to kind of take him out of his rhythm?
Well, you know, we didn't get a lot on the break, you know, which opens things up. We had to come down a lot against the set defense, and I think we had 5 assists second half. And when we usually do that, that means the ball's not moving. You know, I thought we settled, you know, too quickly. But, you know, they did a good job. Their bigs got out. Bruce had great pressure out front. We had to start our offense further out with less time on the clock. And Rip didn't have a typical good shooting night. You know, that was a factor as well.
Rachel?
Larry, can you talk about what it was like emotionally to watch things slip away in the fourth quarter, and then also walking off the floor?
I didn't think about slipping away. I was just trying to coach, figure out ways we could get back. There were a couple of bad possessions. We took a quick 3. We didn't need to. We were talking about getting a quick 2, but, you know, when Rip scored, I still thought we had a chance to win. I didn't think about it, and after it was over, you know, I'm as proud of my team today as I was, you know, June 16th last year. And I'm proud of their team, and Pop and Timmy Duncan and, you know, the NBA, because, you know, we talked about us playing the right way last year and everybody was excited. Well, there's a perfect example over there about playing the right way. You know, the commissioner came in and congratulated our team on the way he played, and I told him, you know, I think this was good for our league with these kind of teams playing. So emotionally, you know, you want to win badly, but I also recognize the fact that another team deserved it.
Instance of having one of your close friends there to say something to you right afterward. What did Pop say to you?
No, he was thanking me. I don't know what he was doing. I was just telling him how proud I was of him and his team. You know, he's great. He's great for this league, and, you know, I know what an honor it is to be part of a championship team, so I was happy for him.
Nice question on this side.
Larry, many people would say you're great for this league too. And can you talk about, are we going to see you here next year?
Come on, let's talk about the game, and that's the most important thing. I hope I'll be back coaching. That's been my plan. If Joe wants me, if I'm able to do it, but they just won a championship. I think it's about the players and their team, and from my standpoint, we gave it a shot. We had a chance to win, and shots that we made in the games we won, we didn't make, and they made the plays.
Last two questions here and here.
Larry, you talked about the foul trouble with your big people. How much did that kind of free up Duncan in the fourth quarter? And did you think Rasheed was the guy that was probably a little more effective than the other two against him throughout?
Well, I think we all were affected in the first half. I had to play Eldon and Tayshaun front line, just not wanting to get guys with 3 fouls. And then, Chauncey picked up an early third in the beginning of the third quarter, and, Rasheed was strapped all game. And if you don't have your big people with the ability to play aggressively on Duncan, you got no shot. And they did a great job of, taking advantage. We talked about them taking 28 three-pointers in game 6. They took 11 tonight, made 7. We took 14. That's the game in my mind.
Last question right here in the front.
Coach.
The comments of Larry Brown live as we welcome you SportsCenter's continuing coverage of the NBA Finals from the SBC Center, where for the second time in the 3 years this building has been open, they celebrate a championship. The fiesta has begun here in San Antonio. Mike Tirico, Tim Legler, Greg Anthony, and we have been joined. Game 7 of the Finals. We bring out Grateful Red, the Hall of Famer Bill Walton, and shockingly, he wants to speak first.
How about Greg Anthony, though? He is urging the crowd on as if these people need any encouragement.
They deserve it.
They are fired up here.
I will tell you, when we started our pregame on ABC at 8:44 Eastern Time, 23 minutes before tip, people were in their seats cheering, standing ovation, and they never sat down all the way through the opening tip. It was a great atmosphere. What was the key in your mind to the game, Tim?
Oh, there's no doubt. This game is all about Tim Duncan. He willed this team. He took over the game at a critical time, fell behind by 9 points. He goes for 17-8 in the second half. At a critical juncture, he wanted the basketball. It was his game tonight.
All right, here we go. The picture story. If you came in late from work, didn't catch the whole start of the first Game 7 in 11 years in the NBA, San Antonio, knowing the Game 7s over history have gone to the home team. Detroit trying to keep that elimination streak alive, trying to win Game 6 and 7 on the road. Never happened in the finals. The two friends who dined last night at Pop's house, ready to have their teams go at it. And early on, Ben Wallace, his offense has been there throughout the series. He may have been the most valuable Piston in the series. Detroit up early, 12-6. San Antonio, a nice run. Robert Horry had the whole back end of the first quarter. On this drive, put San Antonio up by 4. Horry scored the last 8 of the first. To the second quarter, Tim Duncan gets going over Antonio McDyess. This to tie the game at 25. This is right when Detroit guys were starting to get into foul trouble. A couple on McDyess, 3 on Rasheed Wallace. So let's watch what happens. Ben Wallace arrowed, defenders leave him open. Ben Wallace, one of 3 consecutive dunks inside. Detroit up 1. Wallace looked for his offense and was aggressive tonight.
He was, and his teammate did a good job of getting him involved because the defense was good. They made the extra pass so that he was able to finish uncontested.
There is the third dunk as Wallace presents himself inside. It was McDyess, the other guys feeding him. Pistons by 1 at the break, 39-38. Lowest first half of a Game 7 in the finals in the shot clock here in terms of points. Tayshaun Prince, Pistons, a surge early on. They are up 5. Detroit is going to hit a wall right there at 48-39. Back come the Spurs and Tim Duncan. Legs, you thought this was the key stretch.
No doubt.
Heat out, Duncan takes over.
Second half of the third quarter, Rasheed Wallace on the bench. He went right to work, very decisive with the basketball. Got into a comfort zone without that 7 foot and that length of Rasheed Wallace. This was the turning point in the basketball game. He demanded the ball and got it every time down the floor.
Final seconds, the Pistons, who went into an offensive drought, get the jumper from Lindsey Hunter. So here we are, Game 7, all tied. Off we go to the fourth quarter, just 8 minutes to go. Robert Horry, this is only the second basket of the half, not from Duncan or Ginobili. Watch Manu on the drive and the take. That is impressive. That dunk puts San Antonio up for the rest of the finals. Horry in the corner. How about 3 more for Robert Horry? 64-59 at that point. Then right after, the Pistons come down and score. The kick out, all the attention on Duncan. Bruce Bowen rips court on a 3, 67-61. Rasheed Wallace dominated the fourth quarter for Detroit offensively. Without him, the Pistons may not have scored 10 points. But Tim Duncan had it going inside, then hits the long 2. One of his 10 field goals on 27 attempts. He took shots. 4-point game. 3 minutes left. Again, 3 guys around Duncan. Manu Ginobili knocks down the 3. 72-65. Now, Rip Hamilton in Detroit trying to get back after they made a free throw. You see only 90 seconds left. Possession's huge. Who else? Big game Rob, he wants. Horry slides in, draws the offensive foul, and Detroit was in too deep a hole at that point. 72-66. Their defense was good. They do force the steal, and in transition, Ben Wallace's hands started. Chauncey Billups, who was really quiet tonight, guys. 3 of 8, foul trouble early. That's his 3rd field goal. 72-68, 4-point game after San Antonio and Duncan go 1 of 2 at the line. The long arm of Bruce Bowen. This San Antonio team, so good defensively, put a clamp on the Pistons. 35 in the second half. The exclamation points, the way the series started. Ginobili driving, finishing strong, and time for the celebration to begin in San Antonio. 81-74. Greg Popovich, a champion for the 3rd time, joining Phil Jackson, Red Auerbach, as he hugs Larry Brown, John Kundla, and Pat Riley, the only 5 coaches in NBA history to win 3 titles. Ginobili, Olympic gold, and the NBA title. And Tim Duncan, the MVP for the 3rd time. 4 times he's done it, or 4 times it's been done in league history. Jordan, Shaquille O'Neal, Magic Johnson, and Duncan. Here he is live downstairs talking to the media.
Sticking to it, kind of keep it going. Things not going well, don't really care. Just kind of keep on going.
Next question in the back.
John Hollinger, ESPN.com. Your defense seems substantially better tonight, especially in the second half. The Spurs defense, that is, not you personally.
I did all right, too.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying that. What do you attribute that to, though? I mean, was there anything you guys were doing differently, or was it just a better effort?
I just hate to be repetitive and continue to say perseverance. We just stuck with it. We just kept on pushing. We just kept on fighting. We didn't do anything special that we hadn't done in the first 6 games. We stuck to it. We believed in what we were doing, and we believed that if we did it the right way, we could get it done. And a lot of credit to our guards who continually ran off screens and got hit left and right, and continued to fight over screens and get back in front of people. And I thought we contested shots so much better than we did in the last 3 and 4 games. Perseverance. I'm going to end there. Thank you.
Over here.
Jay Adonde, LA Times. Tim, can you describe the role Greg Popovich had in all this, and specifically tonight?
He's, to use one of his quotes, he's the headed snake. He's the one that makes us go. He prepares us so well for games. He's great at getting on you and praising you when it's time and calling you a piece of whatever at times, and he balances it so well. I don't know what to say about him. He really is, and not taking anything away from Larry Brown, he really is the best in the league, I believe.
Anything about tonight that he did?
Comments of Tim Duncan about his head coach, Greg Popovich, who said he was part psychologist every time Duncan's been down in this series. Here is the list that I was referring to, the 4 men who have won the MVP of the NBA Finals 3 times. Please note, the MVP for the NBA Finals was only awarded starting in 1969. Bill Russell would have won 3 or more Finals MVPs. I guarantee that.
You think so, huh?
Yes, I do. Stuart Scott will join Tim Duncan in a couple of minutes here on SportsCenter. You called Duncan out a little bit, a couple of times in this series. He took 27 of their 68 shots. He demanded the ball. He was the best player on the floor tonight.
He did everything you want from a great player. But Tim Duncan is really the anti-superstar in today's world. Never talks about himself, never draws attention to anything he does, just lets his game do his talking for him, never responds to the critics, just comes out and plays basketball. The amazing thing, they were able to win this game with only 4 players playing well. Give Greg Popovich a ton of credit for getting Tony Parker out of there, getting Nazir Muhammad out of there, getting Brent Berry and Robert Horry in for huge minutes. They would not have won without Berry and Robert Horry.
Well, those guys played extremely well, but I tell you also, again, getting back to Tim Duncan, a turning point was when Rasheed Wallace and Antonio McDyess both picked up their 4 fouls with about 4 minutes to go in that third quarter, and you saw Tim Duncan get much more aggressive on the offensive end, and he was able to really just have such an impact. You look at where he's catching the basketball in terms of that deep interior post position. He really couldn't be stopped. He was relentless on that offensive glass as well. I think his stick-to-itiveness was so important, but also credit the rest of their team for making sure tonight he got those touches. He had Tayshaun Prince on him here. That is not going to be a favorable matchup, and it took Detroit out of what they like to do. It made them have to double team, and Duncan was able to score initially out of the double team, and then on the back end of that, he was able to make those plays out for 3-pointers, one to Manu Ginobili and one to Bruce Bowen.
I was just looking at these numbers. I'm glad we put this up, guys. 6 of 18. You're right away, you're going to say, oh, 6 of 18. But, Tim, he demanded the ball and really took over the game from a personality standpoint, which he doesn't normally do.
Well, you could just see it, a look in his face, and you could see his body language when he went down the floor every time. This guy virtually touched the ball every single possession the first 8 minutes of the fourth quarter. He won it. He established position. And you know what? We can't let this go unnoticed either. Throughout a lot of this series, the guards had a hard time delivering the ball in that split second when you needed as a post player to make your move decisively. Tonight they did that. Tony Parker didn't have a big impact in this game, but he only had 1 turnover. He had a lot of entry passes into the post without turning the ball over. Very significant. The guards got him the ball when he wanted it, but most of all, he just flat out wanted the basketball.
I'd like to go back and talk to that official scorekeeper about Tony Parker's 1 turnover there.
Yeah, it seemed like there were 3 in the first 2 minutes when Greg Popovich put him on the bench. Well, Tim Duncan in the closeout game. We have told you throughout this series, Tim Duncan in almost 3/4 of his NBA Finals games, the hardest games, the pressure games against the best teams, he's been over 20 and 10. He does it in another closeout game with 25 and 11 tonight. When Detroit writes the story of what went wrong, how about their starting guards? 9 of 26, Chauncey Billups 3 of 8.
Well, I'll tell you what, to me, it's the coaching move of the series right here. You know, we saw Bruce Bowen on Chauncey Billups a little bit in late game situations in this series. Tonight, he started on him in the fourth quarter, played him the majority of that quarter. A big reason why Chauncey Billups had 8 shots is because Bruce Bowen was guarding him. He's bigger than Tony Parker, he's longer, but yet he's just as quick laterally, and this was a key thing right here because you know Chauncey Billups is the guy they are going to look for in this situation. Bruce Bowen just shadowed him everywhere, and again right here, you see the length. Tony Parker can't make that play. Critical coaching decision by Greg Popovich really paid off.
Yeah, and 2 of 3 in the fourth quarter, and only 3 fourth quarter field goal attempts for your Mr. Big Shot. Does not get it done. There are the numbers for Chauncey career in Game 7, and the great one in the first round against Orlando. The Nets successful. The Miami game, he was good. Not able to get it done tonight.
On that Chauncey-Bruce Bowen matchup, Chauncey, like all great offensive players, he likes to come in and beat you up. He uses that off arm, he uses that shoulder to go right at you. Bowen is not going to back down from anybody. Bowen usually plays against much bigger guys. Bowen, against Chauncey Billups, able to stand in tighter. That big block at the very end, that sealed Detroit's doom.
The Detroit Pistons offensively, their most dynamic player was Ben Wallace. 12 points, 11 rebounds. Let's listen to him live.
Tied 57-57 with 12 minutes to go. The championship was that close, and that you're not going to be able to go home with it.
You know, we let one slip away. Everybody feel like we let one slip away, but, you know, you got to tip your hat to the Spurs. You know, they came out and, you know, showed a lot of guts, you know, played with a lot of heart. And, you know, when they needed to make plays, they did it, you know, so they went out and earned it.
Standing on the side over here.
Ben, Bob Winowski, Detroit News. How tough was it to watch another team celebrate the championship that you guys have held for a year?
It's tough, man. You know, it's tough anytime you come this close to, you know, winning a championship and, you know, have it slip through your finger. You know, it's going to be tough. But, you know, this team, you know, the rest of these guys in the locker room have, you know, nothing to be ashamed of. You know, everybody came out, played hard, you know, gave it their all. And, you know, that's all we can ask.
Any other questions for Ben on the other side?
Ben, your own tell past Sport 5 Israel. Any thoughts about next year, maybe without Larry Brown on the bench?
No, you know what I'm saying, we're going to, you know, go ahead, you know, get back to Detroit and, you know, and wrap this thing up and, you know, hopefully everybody go off and have a good summer and enjoy their summer, with their family or whatever. So, that's not something we want to think about right now. We just, take care of our bodies and you make sure everybody come back ready to play next year.
Ben Wallace and the Detroit Pistons only scored 26 points in the last 19 and a half minutes of the game. I don't care how good your defense is, that will not win championship basketball. Tim Duncan took over the game in the second half and the MVP for the third time in the finals, standing by live downstairs with Stuart Scott. Go ahead, Stu.
The fourth player ever to win an NBA Finals MVP 3 times. Tim Duncan, you said before the game that you were nervous. 25 points, 11 boards. Why didn't it show?
Oh, it was there. It was there. I've been nervous for 4 days now. It's the entire thing was nervous. The most nervous I've ever been having to do anything with basketball, and it was kind of a weird feeling, but it was a great feeling. Great to end it out this way.
Why was it nervous this time? You've played in NBA Finals games before. Why now?
I have no idea. I don't know. I'm getting old. I'm getting old. My nerves are getting bad.
There were some writers who started calling you Timid Tim in the newspaper, more than one. What does it make you feel when you read it or hear about it?
This is the first I'm hearing about it. And
no one ever said anything. You didn't even hear it.
No, I don't read or watch TV a whole lot, or especially around this time. I try not to. Try to stay away from it. But you know what? I'm me. I'm gonna be as the best I can on the floor. I didn't have the greatest series, but when it came down to it, I just continued to push and continued to try as hard as I could, and things started working for me.
You took 27 shots. That's your second most shot attempts ever in your 105 career postseason games. They always call you unselfish, man. That sounds like ball hog to me.
And that's what I was trying to do. No, you know what? I just want to be assertive. That's what it was all about. Pop talked about go out there and shoot the ball 30 times. I wanted to be aggressive for my teammates. I wanted when they were looking at me and saying, "Hey, what are you gonna do for me?" And there were times in there when I wasn't doing anything. I was hurting the team, but got a shot to fall, got 2 shots to fall, and then things started happening, and then I was able to draw some double teams and get some guys some open shots, and that's what it's all about.
Third time you've hoisted that thing. How does it compare to the first 2 times?
Because it's here and now, and because of so many other reasons, this is probably the best one, the best feeling I've had in a championship to this point. We worked so hard for it. We just came so far. We had the ups and the downs. We had the injuries. We had so many things to deal with, and it just feels so good to be here right now.
All right, real quickly, Misan, that femme was sweet. It's a Virgin Island thing. It means.
Everything's good. Everything's nice.
Misan, that femme was sweet.
That femme was sweet.
Thank you, Stu. Congratulations to Tim Duncan, who's like this with Manu Ginobili. Gets the wrong side, Mike. That is befitting of the champions, and we got all the other stuff to show you here in a minute. We'll do that. But first, why don't we figure out which side of the box is the front and go down and listen to Rip Hamilton, who's visiting with the media live.
Was it for you, Rip, though, having Tony Parker defending you as opposed to Bruce, who you two have been going at it pretty back and forth throughout the series?
It was different because, Tony's not going to grab and hold as much as Bruce do. He's pretty much going to try to use his speed and his quickness and chase me around screens and things like that.
Next question in the middle, Rachel.
What were the specific things that went wrong for you guys in that fourth quarter?
Like I said, it's tough. You got to give a lot of credit to the Spurs. They did a great job tonight. When they had to make plays in the fourth quarter, they hit a couple big three-point shots and things like that. So, I just say you got to give a lot of credit to them.
How did it feel for you knowing that you guys were 12 minutes away from maybe defending your championship and that you weren't able to get there?
It's tough, Like I said, it's tough. You got to take the good with the bad. We came here to give ourselves an opportunity. And we did that by winning the last game and, going into the fourth quarter up by 1 point. We gave ourselves another opportunity, but, we just came up short.
Any other questions? Rachel, last question.
You look forward to the next few weeks. How long do you think this is going to stay with you?
Who knows? Like I said, we play basketball to the last possible day that anybody can play basketball. So probably right now you just want to get away, get away from everything, rest your body, take time off, and, get ready for next year.
Thank you.
Our colleague Rachel Nichols asking the question there of Richard Hamilton. The Pistons played 107 games, I think, this year. 25th playoff game. That ties the 94 Knicks that you played on. And you go back to last year, too. They had 82 games. And let's see, 5, 6, 6, 7, 6, 6, 5. They've played about 230, 25 basketball games in the last 2 years, so it's been long. But they had it, as Rip started to say, tied going into the fourth quarter. Really a poor offensive fourth quarter, but it kind of started before that for them offensively.
Well, I think it started again that second half of the third quarter while Tim Duncan was doing his thing. It was difficult for Detroit at that time because they were taking the ball to the net every time down the floor. San Antonio was getting to the foul line. Tim Duncan was converting. They were playing half-court offense, and they really weren't moving the ball the same way. You're going to see a lot of one-on-one shots during that stretch when they go back and look at the tape. A lot of times in games like this, it comes down to which team shoots the ball. And Detroit tonight, 2 for 14 from the three-point line. And some of those I thought were forced and a little bit quick.
By the way, those threes for the series ended up 51 made for San Antonio, 18 for Detroit. Clearly the largest disadvantage in the history of the NBA Finals. This is the first time a 7-game series had nobody foul out of it in the NBA Finals. But Detroit's foul trouble really kind of threw them off kilter in the second half of the game.
Well, I actually threw them off in the first half because you talk about why they struggle. Why they struggle is Chauncey Billups picked up those 2 early fouls, and that disrupted their offensive rhythm. Remember, this guy is the catalyst. He sets the tone. He gets everybody involved. Once he got in foul trouble, they had to bring Lindsey Hunter in. That totally takes them out of their offense because Lindsey Hunter is not nearly as clever or effective with the basketball. So that also played a role in why they struggled so much offensively.
It was puzzling to me at the end of this series why it was such a roller coaster back and forth, and neither team could put consecutive good games together. But if you look at Detroit's whole season, it was, we're going to do as little as possible to get this done in the last 5 minutes of the 7th game. Tayshaun Prince, this guy should have been a huge star in this series. He was virtually non-existent most of the time. Rasheed Wallace, the mental breakdowns. Rip Hamilton, sometimes good, sometimes bad. Lindsey Hunter tonight, a non-factor, and it was very, very difficult for me to see Antonio McDyess, how hard he's worked to come all the way back, play so brilliantly most of the time, and not get a championship ring.
McDyess, 10.7 rebounds, kept Detroit in it offensively when Rasheed Wallace went out with 5 foul trouble. Here's the San Antonio Express News, the paper out there that's being handed out on the streets again. And that not only applies to the Spurs, it also applies to Robert Horry, who is 6 for 6 winning NBA championships. And Big Shot Rob standing by with Big Shot Stu. Mr. Scott. Guys?
Hold up one hand, Rob. Just hold up one hand. All right, and then I'm going to add a finger.
I'll do like this.
Okay. 6 fingers, your 6th ring. How does this one compare to the other handful that you got?
Great, man. It's like apples and oranges. You can't compare them, man. It's a wonderful feeling. I know a lot of people are going to ask me that here late, but you can't compare them, man. Everyone is special.
What makes this one different?
It's a different team. You know, I've done it with Houston, I've done it with the Lakers, and then you come into a situation when you're with the Spurs and you want to do it last year and you didn't get the job done. And this year you come out and work harder to get the job done, then you get the job done. It's a special feeling, especially coming from me, coming to the situation of the Spurs where everybody was like down on me for the series I had against the Lakers last year. So it's a wonderful feeling.
When this NBA Finals started, Michael Jordan had more career three-pointers in the playoffs, in the NBA Finals rather, than anybody else. Now, you have more career three-pointers in the Finals than anyone else. What's it like to beat Michael in something?
It's great. It's great. It's great. You know, Michael is the ultimate. You know, when you want a basketball player, he's the ultimate player. He's the ultimate professional. He did so many great things for this league, and I'm just happy to be in a category with him.
This series was bananas. The first 4 games decided by 15 points or more. That had never happened before in the finals. The last 3 games, neither team ever had a double-digit lead. How would you describe this?
You know, it's like a chess match. We had to figure each other out. You know, our first 2 games at home, they had to figure us out, and then their first 2 games at home, we had to figure them out. Everybody had different emotions at home, and everybody came out and played hard. And then finally, we figured them out. They figured us out, and then after a while, it was just a blow for blow who can make the last shots.
You're a three-point specialist. You're a shooter, shooter's mentality. Game 6, you shot a ball that was like 4 feet air ball wide. You came right back down and shot another 3 and made it. What gives you the gumption to be able to do that after missing so badly?
Because I know I can make shots. You know, you got to have the confidence in yourself. If you don't have the confidence in yourself, you know, what are your teammates going to do? If you got to go out and play hard. You know, everybody's going to miss a shot every now and then, but it's how you come back for the next shot. You have to make adjustments because every great shooter will tell you that. If you miss one, you know what you did wrong the previous shot, and then you adjust and try to make the next one.
The only active NBA player with 6 NBA Finals rings. Well, you haven't gotten your ring yet, but they will get their ring pretty soon.
Thank you, Stu. As a matter of fact, it's the same as Jordan and Pippen, obviously, 6 rings. And the only players in the NBA's history, 59 years, with more than 6 rings are, as Bill phrased it well during the week, Bill Russell and the Celtics who played with Bill Russell. There's about a half dozen in there with 9 or 8 or 7. So it is pretty exclusive company. And Horry and John Sally are the only men to win NBA championships with 3 different teams. And with all due respect to John, who we love, Robert Horry's impact has been greater on the 3 teams than it was for John Sally.
There's no doubt. I mean, this guy, to me, is going to be the enduring image, I think, of this series. If you want to take one snapshot, it's going to be Robert Horry raising up Tayshaun Prince's hand coming out, a fan covering her face because she knows Robert is not ready to let it go right there in the first row. Like, how could this guy end up with the ball in that situation? That was obviously the shot, the catalyst for this championship. Cannot say enough about what Robert Horry means in his team, but it helps when your great player plays well. Role players are more confident. Tonight, Tim Duncan made those other guys more confident.
And Horry held the rope at the end of the first quarter when he scored the last 10 points when there was a little San Antonio offensive drought. Greg Popovich. Let's talk place in history for Pop for a minute. Here is a coach. We know the whole Larry Brown relationship, the whole story. David Robinson and Tim Duncan. Pop will always tell you every time you come visit during the year, I'm the luckiest guy. I've been given in the lottery 2 model citizens and Hall of Fame type players. He's a pretty darn good coach as well, Greg.
Well, he's a great coach. I mean, first and foremost, I think what you notice most about how this team plays is they really exemplify the personality and the character of their coach. They have no quit in them. They go out and they're in attack mode on both ends. And again, they made the adjustments. They made sure Tim Duncan was going to be the focal point offensively. They ran their offense through him, and it paid big dividends for them as they celebrate their 3rd World Championship.
Greg Popovich is the best coach in the NBA. I've played for 6 coaches who are in the Basketball Hall of Fame. Greg Popovich is the one I want to play for, who I didn't get to. He is emblematic of everything the Spurs do. No hype, no drawing attention to themselves, all about hard work, all about the team, the decisions that he makes as to who he wants to bring in Brent Barry, to bring in Robert Horry. Just so special. You just see it all play out. And now all they talk about is how happy they are. There's no chest thumping. There's no, I'm the greatest player in the game. I'm the most dominant ever. There's no blaming the referees. This is a special team, a special franchise. It starts at the top. Greg Popovich, the best in the game.
And he built a lot of this team as the GM for a long time in the building. And speaking of that, Legs may remember the shot, Tayshaun's hand, and the woman going like this, which I have to watch again to see. I'll remember Greg Popovich hand on Tim Duncan's knee, game 4. And Tony Parker, when he came out tonight, 2:15 in, hand on his back, consulting him. Just relax. It's going to be all right. Right back in the game. These guys will be on NBA Fast Break with Matt Weiner coming up from the floor of the SBC Center here at the top of the hour. Great to have Bill Walton with us on SportsCenter. Fred and Linda will have more from the studio. Robert Horry and Steve Kerr, one of them have been on 11 of the last 12 NBA champions. Matt and Sanford are our guys who do research. They are the best. Keith as well. Thanks, guys. Thanks to our entire crew. Congratulations to the Spurs, champions 05.
Welcome to the 2005 NBA Finals, where legends are born. Ginobili is everywhere.
Detroit has clearly been outplayed.
The Pistons are in deep trouble.
We'll be happy to get back to Detroit.
That plays a basketball.
Detroit's playing harder, smarter, faster.
It's a 3-game series now.
Robert Horry. Just clutch shot after clutch shot. And here we go from San Antonio.
We could fight any odds. A lot of people thought we was going to be out tonight.
It's the last game.
You win it all, or you go back home with nothing.
2 teams, 1 game for the championship. Ginobili, the 2 on the clock, huge. The San Antonio Spurs are the NBA champions.